Welcome to Archeotech Assimilation, where we discover and investigate the technology of the Imperium and the tools of chaos.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Archeotech Assimilation. On this episode, we're going to continue with our review of the animated series Angels of Death. My name is John, and I'm joined by Tom.
Yoo-hoo!
And Dave.
Hello.
And we're going to be looking at episode 5, which is the mid-season finale. So good news, that means we're going to get at least 5 more episodes. Bad news, don't know when that's going to be, do we? And at this rate, could be hopefully around Christmas, but it could be later, we don't know. I don't even think they've said, because there's no plan, is there, on Games Workshop? It's just sort of as and when.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's still good. So if this is the first time you're joining us, then please go check out the previous videos we've done of the first 4 episodes on our YouTube channel. And as always, we're going to go through the beats of the story and talking about it as we go. So take this as your spoiler warning. So just before we get into it, reactions, guys, how'd you like this one?
Yeah, it's good.
I think that it was a very, very, very good episode. I really enjoyed it. The content was really good.
Yeah.
But I found it very jarring to the storyline. I felt like it was building up, and then they've sort of got to a bit of a climactic point and then gone, we're going to take you right back to the start again and not show you anything of what happened. So I found it a bit jarring overall.
I like it though.
I enjoyed it, but I just sort of feel that it broke up. Like, you literally had 3 episodes where it was building up to them getting sort of finding the captain and being there on the surface of the planet. And then it just cuts back. And I just think, although the content was good and I really enjoyed the episode, I just thought that it's just all in a bit of a funny order.
Yeah, I agree. I think as a mid-season ending sort of thing, they could have maybe done this episode, the one before, and then had, back to the normal present again at the end to leave it on a cliffhanger like that. Yeah. So, I think it was a bit silly to do it at the last one when there's going to be a break now. Is there going to be a break? Is that
they've said this is the mid-season finale, so normally that means there's going to be a break before you get the next half. Yeah. So maybe we'll get the start of another season or some more Hammer and Bolter. I don't know. All right. Well,
cool. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was a really decent episode. I just think it showed this obviously space warfare a lot more and how like mental it is, how much firepower and how many of the Xenos there are with the Tyranids. So and what the odds are that humanity's fighting against. Yeah. But that space battle was mental.
Yeah. Okay. I guess with that, we'll get into it then. So anybody who's not seen the episode knows what we're talking about, and then we'll break it down. So, as we've alluded to, this episode starts in the midst of an almighty space battle, and at first it's not quite clear. But as we've said, this is set before the events of episode 1, and we're going to get a lot of answers now. Well, at least of how they got to where we joined them. So we see there's a second ship called Judgment, which is much bigger than the sort of bowl.
Hey.
And they're part of a massive Imperial fleet, which is fighting an even bigger fleet of Tyranids, which seem to be getting the best of the Imperials. Judgment takes out this huge Tyranid creature that explodes in a big cloud of gore. And then in its success, out of the darkness, this even bigger beast emerges. It's like this massive horn comes out of basically nowhere from the shadow of the moon. And this massive electronic blast blows away another set of Imperial ships. And then quite quickly, Judgment is taken out by this giant beast. And the command falls to ship mistress Livia Sulkin. And she's on the bridge with the rest of the Blood Angels, like Captain Orpheo's there, Chaplain Raphael, and some of the others. And they scan and sort of realise that Sergeant Kazarian was on board the Judgment, and they dispatched some Thunderhawks to go and save him. With their ammo running low, they've not made any impact on this giant beast. And Orfeo says, we're going to move into boarding range. I'll take my honor guard to the teleportorium, and he orders Raphael and his men to take to the boarding torpedoes, and they're going to mount this beast and kill it by hand, even though they know they're not going to kill it and survive, but they're all keen to go out in a haze of glory. So that's sort of like the opening part of it. Like you said, it was just chaos, absolute madness on screen.
Yeah, and it was really good, and it was really well done. And I thought it gave a really good insight into Orfeo and the sort of inner workings of the ship and how they got to where they were.
Yeah.
But I spent the first 10 minutes or whatever this sort of sequence was just going, what the fuck is going on?
I think they definitely could have helped themselves by putting something up on the bottom of the screen just to make you definitely aware that it is set before.
Yeah. I did do that before it got to like him on board. Once he was on board, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We've obviously gone back in time. When that judgment come around and they were just in this war of Tyranids, I was like, oh, bloody hell. Like, while they've been down on the surface, the Tyranids already arrived. That was quick. But patience, and we find out. But yeah, I was simple and confused as well. Cool. So before they get to do anything though, they receive a transmission saying that they need to basically retreat. They need to abandon the evacuation of the planets below, which they're only 19% of the way through, and they need to get back to the Legion world. And the orders come from Dante himself, and Livia basically questions this, and Orfeo says, like, something serious must have happened. Dante wouldn't give this order lightly, and we're going to have to defend the home world no matter what the cost. And I've just left it on the screen there to show you it's like 42 billion people they're ditching just to get back to the home world. And no one bats an eye. They're like, oh, that's a shame. And they give the order and everyone jumps to it. And it's like, cool. Well, this is a waste of time. No one's really that bothered. Let's go.
I think that's a really good insight into sort of the realities of the grim darkness of the far future, where it's just sort of like, oh, okay, we're here to save all these, but we've been told to do something else. So,
right.
See you later.
It sums up Space Marines, though, doesn't it? I think it's like, they're given an order, unquestionable. That's what they've been taught to do, and they just obey it instantly. Yeah. So it's pretty decent to see that.
But it's like
as well.
Yeah.
Where he's just gone, there is a reason behind this. I'm not going to question it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's like in the front of most of like the books, it says in a universe of untold billions, you will not be missed. But this is like 4 billion people, and we're just gonna be like, yeah, see you later. You couldn't even like imagine the scale of death. But they're all Tyranid chow now.
Yep.
So we find out like Kazarian gets rescued, but there are no other survivors. And then with that, they jump into the warp. And as they're about to jump, this warp storm envelops them, and they're sort of sucked in, and immediately they're lost and blinded within the storm. And the screen goes dark while the navigator's screaming in pain and in despair. And then we rejoin the bridge crew 38 days later, when we're getting a bit of a spiel of their status, and we find out it's been 38 days. The navigator's been replaced because she's expired. There have been outbreaks of madness on the ship, and all the violators have been expunged. And like the warp's so unstable that between the bow and stern of the ship, there's a 3-hour discrepancy, and they're still floating, just lost in the void. And just as things seem hopeless, they locate a beacon providing them with a path out of the warp, which they follow, and they emerge on the edge of the Naiades system. But however, due to the warp storms, they know that they're in this system, but their maps can't link them out, so they're still sort of trapped. This is where they receive the offer from the second planet within the system, offers them the chance to dock and repair the ship, And then nearby, as we know, there's a number of civilian ships in a flotilla, which all appear to have battle damage or warp damage. And then the scans show that the planet attached to this orbital tower has basically been destroyed by war, but one city remains. All this, obviously, we find out as we go back through the first episodes. And then they talk to the orbital tower who say, look, ever since the Great Rift opened years ago, we've been waiting to be rescued, but it's never happened. And like Livia sort of questions it, says, but we've only been in the warp weeks. I think it's Raphael who says, well, the warp is mysterious and it's not unheard of to go in and come out years later. So we don't know what could have happened like elsewhere in the universe while they've been lost. And shortly after docking, they intercept a message from the planet's surface, which just contains coordinates for a certain location within the city. And then without any questioning or reason, really, Orfeo decides, yeah, I'll go down there and find out what it is, and orders his honor guard to meet him, and they're going to go down to the planet. Raphael offers to go in his place, but Orfeo says, no, I'm just going to go down there. So, like, again, a bit more insight for us who don't know, I guess, loads about the warp. I thought it was quite interesting, and just sort of how it all went wrong so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really well written piece. It was because you could see the confusion there and going like they didn't know what the fuck was going on, as well as me. They didn't know. It was a really, really good bit. I really enjoyed that bit.
Yeah.
It was quite realistic. And when you read some of the books and they sort of allude to how the warp can, like I say, turn people mad and cause sort of havoc with people's bearings, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think Orfeo as well is a really cool character. I think of all the Space Marines so far, he looks the best. His mouth's really synced up with what he says usually, and his face looks so detailed. I think he's definitely they focused the most on him. He looks awesome in that Terminator armor.
He's cool, isn't he? Although he's quite, I think he just wants to die though, because a minute ago he was like, let's just jump onto this tyranny and punch it to death, and now he's like, oh, there's a beacon with coordinates. I'll go. Why not? There's no other information unless I missed something. I'm pretty sure they went, we've got coordinates. I'm going. He gets his honor guard, the Terminators, and rally up into a Thunderhawk. I believe it's a Thunderhawk, or a gunship anyway. And he leaves Ancaeus in command on the bridge. They land down in the city, and as we know, it's all windy and there's dust and crap being blown all over the place. So their comms are heavily interfered with, and their vision not great. They follow the source of the beacon into a chamber and come out and find the servitor standing there, who provides a projection of an Admech Magos. She tells them the planet is corrupted by Tyranids, but there's material in the city vital to the Omnissiah, and says that you need to find it and secure it, but doesn't give him anything more than that. Before they can sort of question it, one of the Terminators spots movement up above and just starts shooting instantly. And we see all the gene stealer cultists running out, and then hidden in that are some of the gene stealer monsters, or as Glenn called them, the Gribblies.
Yeah.
And then the Terminators just start blasting. Orfeo tells his men to get the servitor back to the gunship, and he will stay behind and give them time to escape. Literally, as they start going, one of the Terminators just gets blown apart, like something goes straight through his chest. Terminator goes down, and the others move on. Orfeo stays behind, and he's got his bolter in one hand and his sword in the other, and he's just taking out bad guys left, right, and centre, which is pretty cool.
That whole scene was just absolutely epic.
Yeah.
Like, just the way that the Terminator sort of responded to it. I think it was really, really good. You could see like the power of the Terminator squad when they were just rinsing guardsmen.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's probably the best battle scene we've had in this series, I think.
Yeah.
It was just chaos.
I really enjoyed it as well. One small thing I've got is probably similar to what Glenn said about the chain swords. With the power swords, when they hit, there wasn't enough thump, there wasn't enough thwack, or noise didn't sound right to me. The battle was epic, but I would have liked a bit more, I don't know, realistic noise. It was just like, it would have been more than that, surely.
Maybe it's just because they're quite fleshy, aren't they? Like, they're not hitting anything armoured.
So I think it would have made a bit more of a better noise, though. I would have liked that anyway, I think.
Talking about realism, but it's a power sword.
Yeah, but I mean, you got, how realistic, you got to be as realistic as you can, haven't you? And I think that just sounded a bit shitty, really. It was like he was hitting him with a wet cloth. but visually, yeah, it was epic. It did look amazing, and John's right. It was the best fight sequence so far.
Yeah. So the Terminators move out. Orfeo's remaining behind, whipping them with a wet tea towel, and taking them down. And outside, they come back towards the gunship, and literally, instantly, the servitor gets sniped, big hole in his head, and falls down. And very quickly, one of the Terminators goes down too, and gets sniped. And then, like, the Gene Stealers start swarming, take another one down in just a mass of bodies. You just see him get pulled to the ground. And on top of the gunship is one of these bald-headed dudes. He does a superhero flip off of it, and as he lands, the gunship explodes, and he pulls his sword out. And then I think it's Leardis, the Terminator we saw his body before in one of the other episodes. They square off, and then the scene cuts back to Orfeo, who is now already missing his arm, and sort of enters the chamber where we met him right at the beginning of episode 1, starting his speech again, and then the episode goes to black. So definite cliffhanger. We're on a double cliffhanger, really, aren't we? Because that cliffhanger and then the cliffhanger from the last episode. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts overall so far on what we've seen?
I think that Orfeo's very dead.
Yeah.
Like that last scene where there's like all the Griblies coming out. It's like the absolute horde of them, and then obviously going into it. So I think, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be dead. But yeah, like I said, really good episode. Really enjoyed it. I just felt it was a bit jarring to the rest of the series. I think definitely the first half, you could easily have had that at the beginning of the series. Like the whole warp bit could have been in the first episode, and you could have had a longer first episode. And it would have made a bit more sense. And then having that, I understand the sort of.
It's just storytelling, though, isn't it? It's because I feel like the whole first couple of episodes, although you've been focused on what's going on, I've been wondering, well, how the hell did they get here? It's just like breaks up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, I just feel that I was.
You're a simple man. You like a simple story in the right order. It was supposed to be told.
I think
it's in the wrong order.
If you just watched it all the way through, I don't think that would have made too much of a difference. But as a whole episode, just to be set in the past, it does make a difference. I mean, if, like Dave said, if they went sort of back and forwards in this episode, just from that bit and then back to the future sort of thing, for a little while, maybe that would link up a little bit better. But I suppose if you watched it all the way through, I think it would probably make more sense, because obviously then you would go past this bit and we'd get the next episode. It would flow better.
But I just think that definitely the first half with all the warp stuff until they got to the planet, and then him going down, I think all of that could have been in episode 1, and it wouldn't have changed much. It would have, if anything, it would have set the scene a bit better.
Yeah.
And then keeping that bit with the captain until they found his arm and all the other bits in the last episode.
Yeah,
I get that. But if they had this, and then I think this at the start of the end of this episode at the start, and the end of the last episode at the end of this one would have been a really good finale, if that makes sense. Because it would have been that cliffhanger, but it would have all been in a better order, I think. I just think that it sort of took me out of the story, if that makes sense, because it just goes all the way back and doesn't add anything to what they've been building up in the first 3. So I enjoyed it. I'm not taking away from it. I just don't like the order.
What we'll do is a bit like Justice, just like Justice League. We'll have the Namakaj cut, and you can reorder it and release it.
Me and John get onto we'll get on to the people at Games Workshop and try and sort you out as an executive producer for the rest of the series.
Cool. What on earth are you thinking? I've got an A-level in film studies, don't you know?
But other than that, like one of the bits I really liked is when they decide they're going to he decides to go into the planet, and Raphael says, "I'll go," and Orfeo says, "Would you deny me this chance for glory?" And they're just like, "Of course not." And like really, really polite. I just like their interaction.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite funny.
I think that was pretty cool. It does show you that obviously Space Marines, they're built for war. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think it was the best choice to send him and all of his best warriors down basically to die.
Yeah.
Like if he'd sent a few of and chaos with the others, and then they would get taken out, and they'd be in a better situation still to have all their Terminators left.
Yeah.
I don't get why a captain would just go, "We've got all this really valuable stuff, all this gin seed on here, but we need to get back to bowls," and then, but I'm just going to go fuck about on this planet that I know nothing about for no real reason, and I'm going to take a load of Terminators with me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the other thing is, I don't know, I'm just looking for conspiracy, but we didn't see him lose his arm. Like, we know that he's lost it, but we haven't seen the arm come off. I just think he was very keen to come down to this planet. What else is going on? What does he know that we don't know?
Are you trying to tell us he's possibly been corrupted at some point?
I don't think that.
He is bald.
Oh, yeah.
Like halfway there already then.
Yeah. I just don't know. Maybe we just don't need to see his arm get ripped off, or we might see it later. I'm just curious as to why we saw his sort of heroic stand, but we didn't see his arm come off.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit bloodthirsty, maybe. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but all in all, though, I think it was still a decent episode, and I was quite happy that it was longer this time as well. Even though it might not have been the best episode altogether, it was still nice to have something to actually sit there and be able to watch for a while rather than it being over before you've started.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And it's made me I'm keen for I'm keen to see what happens next, and can't really predict it. I don't think where it's going to go. No,
look forward to it, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a bit frustrating, that's all, because the quality has been so good so far. And I think if it wasn't as good as it was, I wouldn't be as invested and it wouldn't be as jarring. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from the series. It has been very good so far. I just going to
hammer that point home that you don't like the order.
If I haven't mentioned it, I don't like the order at all.
Cool. So anything else from the episode or the series that you want to pick up for we end?
One thing I will say, which I think was absolutely...
We know you don't like the order.
when the Navigator was having that tiz in the warp.
Yeah.
That I really didn't enjoy that. That was... Not because I just think it was... The voice acting was...
The voice acting, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, she was
just didn't really enjoy that. It was just sort of... And I get it. It was like their mind's practically frying and they're just going, oh, fuck, I can't actually see anything, sort of thing, within the light of the Astronomicon. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy that bit.
For someone who's supposed to be in immense pain and whatever, she sounded bored.
Yeah.
Like that was the only thing I thought, this doesn't sound like it hurts as much as it should.
They could have made it more terrifying, couldn't they? And because that was supposed to be, I think, a really creepy moment. I mean, if your mind's being fried by the warp and they can see all these, obviously the like the creatures and that in there, they know exactly what's going on. They would be so terrified. And although that they was trying to portray that, like Dave said, it just wasn't done very well, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's a shame because the rest of the voice acting in it, I think in the series as a whole, has been quite good.
Mm.
It's just little things like that sometimes let it down, and again, just sort of pull you back out of it.
So we've got a bit of a pause now till the next episode. Is Orfeo going to survive the series?
I don't know if he'll survive the series, but I still think he will be alive, or you won't know that he's dead until maybe the last episode.
What about Raphael?
I said he's dead, so I'm going to...
But
to be honest, I said he was dead when I thought there was going to be 6 episodes. So I thought, oh, well, it wouldn't really matter so much if he died. now I know there's 10. Perhaps he's still alive.
Yeah, he's too good of a character to be dead already.
Yeah, not by halfway. I don't think they would have done that by halfway. So, yeah, I reckon he's still alive now.
And lastly, then, is Kazarian going to succumb to the Black Rage, or do you reckon?
Definitely, he's definitely going to succumb.
Yeah.
And going back to Raphael, they're going to stick him in a dreadnought, and he's going to be a dreadnought.
Chaplain dreadnought.
No, it's librarian ones, isn't it?
Yeah, they have. I'm not sure actually if they have a chaplain one or not. I don't see why not. But I haven't.
Yeah. No, I was thinking. I was getting a bit muddled there with your librarian because he's bloody funny.
We still haven't seen
that,
Dread come to
nonsense.
That's right. We still haven't seen that Dread come to life yet, so we're waiting for that as well.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our review of episode 5 and the others. Please do check them out if you haven't. Let us know what you thought of our episode and what you thought of the episode in general. So just to help us out then, if you want to follow us on social media, check us out at Iron and Ceramite on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, which you will be, please like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. We have a hobby podcast amongst other things. So wherever you get your podcast, search for us on there. We're also on Twitch and Patreon. And if you want to help the channel, you can subscribe to us on there. And we also have a link to Element Games. So if you're getting your hobby stuff, you know, if you go to Element Games, it's discounted already. And if you use our link as a thank you, no extra cost to you, Element Games gives us a little bit of a kickback. And any money we make, we'll put back into the channel for better equipment and just to improve ourselves. And then obviously you can join our clan on combat cards, Iron and Ceramite, very easy. Everything's Iron and Ceramite. Just give us a Google and you can find us. And then you go and beat Glenn and Shane on there. So that's the end of this episode. Thanks for joining us and we'll see you on the next one.
Cool.
Right, I've got to start a new meeting because I have the cheap version. We've only got 6 minutes left. So
I'm not going to lie. I'm desperate for a piss anyway. So I'll come off and then I'll come back on when you invite.
Right, I'll invite you guys.
All right, mate.
Cool.
As always, we would like to thank you for listening to our Iron and Ceramite podcast. If you liked us, then you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any other good podcast services. Just remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.